You are a racist. Yes, you are a racist. You were trained to mistrust people that don't look like you. I don't care if you have that one black, brown, yellow, or white friend, you are still a racist. Do you avoid spending time with people who you were trained to mistrust? Why do you so easily turn a blind eye to injustice? Is it because you're unaware? Or you're aware but just don't know what to do about it? Or you just choose to do nothing about it? Why are we still addressing race issues in the 21st century? Like, really? Have you heard this statement made before? If they don't like this country, they can leave this country? What? How in the world did we get to a place where someone kneeling during the national anthem became grounds for terminating friendships, to terminating relationships, to igniting hate-filled rallies? How did we get here? You know, I wonder, was it really about taking a knee? Or was it the fact that it was a black man that took a knee? Well, people tend to find themselves in three different categories: comfort, curiosity, and uncomfortability. Comfort is better known as the me way of life. You're not able to look outside of yourselves because it's comfortable. Curiosity, it's when you think, what would it look like if I thought outside myself and asked questions? And you see that circle way off in the distance? That's uncomfortability. That's where we need to be. That's where you were when I called you a racist. But that's where change happens. See, being uncomfortable allows you to evaluate your heart and self-reflect and make the commitment to engage in an active racial reconciliation. So today, what circle are you in? Comfort, curiosity, or uncomfortability? See, as a country, we're backpedaling as it relates to active racial reconciliation. And active racial reconciliation, it happens when we choose to take intentional steps towards building and fostering cross-cultural relationships. And I wholeheartedly believe that active racial reconciliation is the key to world unity and peace. Now, the keys to implementing active racial reconciliation are respect, empathy, and maturity. Respect is when you're able to look at somebody else's point of view and you stick around long enough to hear it without offering any input. It's you choosing to be totally engaged in the conversation, listening intently, and not scrolling through your cell phones. Empathy takes place when you make a mental shift from defensiveness to validating someone else's lived experiences. It sounds like, can you please tell me more about that? And maturity is when you're able to pause, not react, even if you're offended. But you choose to ask questions. One could be, although I don't fully agree with your position, can you please help me see it through your eyes? Now, remember the statement I made before, if they don't like this country, they can go to a different country? Well, let's take it to my social media account for a minute. I can recall a time when everyone was talking about taking a knee, and I had a friend in particular who was so upset that everybody wanted to express their right to protest that she expressed her frustration by making a post. And I can remember like it was yesterday, me sitting behind my computer screen and reading her post, and I had a few outbursts. She had a few choice words in there. I can remember saying, "What? No, I can't believe she did that." And all of a sudden, I started scrolling down and looking into the comments section, and I seen that everybody was in agreement with her. I only knew that because there were so many likes and hearts and different emojis and "say that girl" and yeses and "amen, sister." But it was only a matter of time before I found myself upset, frustrated, and offended. So much so, I dived into the comment section and started typing fiercely because I was going to let her have it. But then I stopped. I stepped back away from my computer screen. I took a deep breath. And I thought to myself, "Kenston, what are your options?" Well, if I wanted to stay comfortable, I could have just blocked or dismissed her. Or I could have defended myself. I mean, I had every right to do so. Or I could have addressed it. And that's what I chose to do. You see, if I had blocked or dismissed her or defended myself, I would have missed out on what was coming next. See, we got to do this thing right. Respect, empathy, maturity. So, instead of dismissing or blocking her, I inboxed her to reconcile our differences, and I created a space for mutual respect to take place. Secondly, instead of reacting, I chose to be curious by asking her some questions. One of those questions was, did you know that everyone has not had the same experience as you did in our country? And that was the beginning of our open dialogue. And lastly, I chose not to be offended. I empathized with her, and I created an opportunity for her to empathize with me by inviting her out for a cup of coffee. I don't even like coffee. But that's not the point. That's not the point. But it was during that coffee, my tea, that we were able to talk about our lived experiences. And guess what happened? We found out that we had more in common than we did differently. Now, I realize some individuals and groups are not ready for this type of engagement. Because you have to understand, respect, empathy, and maturity have to be in the room, and the conversation won't go well if it's not. Now, don't not have the conversation just because you chose not to lay aside your pride, ego, or comfort. You see, we all have got to start moving out of our comfort zones and start being okay with being uncomfortable. Everyone in this room and around the world is guilty of at least one thing, and that is to reacting to something that offended us. And trust me, I get it. So you're probably saying, "Well, Kenston, what do I need to do? What do I need to do?" Well, I'll first start by saying, by you choosing to remain silent, you're saying it's okay to remain the same. Stop sharing those screenshots and voicing your levels of disgust with injustice privately to just those who would agree with you. You see, because your silent acts of disagreement need to be heard, and they need to be heard loudly. You know that conversation you need to have. Have it with your family. Have it with your friends. Have it with your boss. Do it uncomfortable. Because remember, that's where change happens. Be intentional. So however you best communicate, whether it's by phone, whether it's by email, whether it's by text, whether it's in person, have that cup of coffee or tea with your coworker and talk about your lived experiences. Use social media as a catalyst. Inbox the person instead of collecting screenshots. Parents, intentionally take your young people to the park or to different types of festivals around different groups of people at a young age. Start or join a small group of diverse people so you can do life together, grow together, learn together, love together. But what we have to do is cut the excuses. We have to do better. We have to do better.